Okay, I just wanted to come on here and talk to you guys about the upcoming holiday, which is the 4th of July. Usually, usually at this time, I have red, white, and blue out. At least I have my blue and white dishes out displayed, which I keep out pretty much all summer. But this year, 4th of July represents a little bit more, at least to me it does. Is a celebration of our independence from the British Empire in 1776. That's when we declared it. We ended up fighting a war with Great Britain for 7 more years after that. 1783, Great Britain was like, okay, you can have your independence. So from the time we invaded this country, Europe invaded here, to 1776, it's close to 150 years, give or take a few years here and there. So for the first 140 to 150 years that we were on this land, we were under a king's rule. We sent money back to England, we sent goods back to England, and we got taxed heavily, if you know anything about your history. And if you hear my fan, I'm sorry, it's still hot out here in the desert. In 1776, though, we had a generation of people that said, hey, no more kings. No kings. We don't want a king anymore. And they declared their independence. After all, what was that? Probably about seven to eight generations. And not one of them decided to go against the king. They were just like, okay, whatever the king says, we're going to go with it, even though we live over here in a different country. And so I give, like I said, that generation that said enough is enough, we became independent. We became our own nation. We have a constitution. Now, it wasn't perfect because there were still slaves, slave owners. Women didn't have rights. So there was still a lot to work on. But at least we had a foundation for democracy. A foundation that we could work on. And we did. We've worked on that Constitution since 1776. Once we declared our independence, we were working on our Constitution for this country. And what's so ironic is that our Constitution is based on the Iroquois Nation's Constitution. Yes, Native people had their own constitutions. They had their own laws. These were people that had been here hundreds of thousands of years before Europe invaded. We acted like, well, they don't exist, just like they're trying to do now. This administration, I am so upset with this administration, because if you look at these people, they're all immigrants. Unless you're the first native and your DNA supports that you're first native, other than that, we're all immigrants. And for Trump and his administration, it just makes me angry, is what it does. For him to go around and deport people, citizens, because his big lie that there's so many murderers and rapists and everybody coming in here and they're doing harm to us, we got to get them all out, was a lie. Because when criminals don't go to work, they're a criminal. They don't go to work. Okay? So for you to sit there and say, oh, they're at work, they're in church, they're at school, oh, that's where we're going to arrest these murderers. Well, I say then you need to look at all Americans, because there's a lot of Americans that are in church that are doing evil things in the name of the church. This country is a brown country. It always was, it always will be. For these European immigrants to come in here, and now they're like, oh, Well, we're going to be mean and evil because we're the only one. Oh, I get carried away. So this 4th of July, I will honor that generation that stood up to a king, fought the king, and won. I'll be damned if I let an establishment like Trump and his goons tell us otherwise. Tell us that we don't have any rights and start sending people all over the place. The first place you need to start is in your own house, Trump. You need to go and check out your kids and your wife. Don't be, if you want to start deporting, deport them. Look, I just want to say that this Independence Day means a lot because this is a day we became independent from a king who dictated to us how we were supposed to have religion, how our laws were, how we spent our money, everything. Independence Day is the generation that stood up to him. And you know what? There's a whole new generation standing up to no kings right now. This whole country is going to stand up to Trump. They are not going to get away with trying to be a king. They might pull some wool over people's eyes, but this is not going to happen. This will not happen. Even though it's 4th of July, I want people to reflect on the fact that there was a generation of patriots that stood up to a king in 1776 and said, enough is enough. It took 150 years. We need to stand up to them, and we need to do it now on Independence Day.